Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in today. My name is Julia Polson. I'm the Manager of Talent Development with Indiana Constructors, Inc. And today I have Glenn Etienne with Construction Engineering Solutions. He's the president and owner. Thank you so much for joining me today, Glenn.
Thank you, Julia. Happy to be here. Want to give a big thanks to ICI and their leadership and support in the construction industry and opportunities like this.
Well, thank you. Well, I guess we'll just go ahead and dive into the questions. If you want to go ahead and tell everyone what you do at Construction Engineering Solutions and how long you've been with the company.
Well, like you said, I'm president and owner, so I have many duties. I like to get in and get dirty and do a lot of the actual services that we provide. So in addition to showing, obvious leadership at the company and encouraging our employees to always push the limits with understanding of construction technology and being a resource that our contractors and our clients can trust and turn to with all kinds of various problems. I also perform our services with construction staking, being in the field, our 3D data prep in the office, and doing consulting and training with clients and their employees to make sure that they can get the most out of the technology that they have invested in.
It sounds like you're like the jack of all trades over at your company. So you mentioned briefly, with Construction Engineering Solutions, it's construction technology, but if you want to go ahead and tell everyone what CES does, what you guys specialize in, and all things around what you guys do.
The main thing that we do is serve contractors in the context of construction engineering and staking. So we don't design projects, we don't do land surveying. We have licensed surveyors and licensed engineers that work for us, but we concentrate on being that knowledge base and service provider for a contractor that either doesn't have the personnel in-house, it requires a third party, or it's just one of those deals where it's more than they can handle. And they need us to provide services on top of their services. And we really want to be a partner with them. And we also utilize construction technology as much as possible in the industry. So a lot of the program software technology that the contractors are using, we also use that same technology and instrumentation at our company. So when they're trying to provide a service self-perform a service and they need some expertise in that, then we can lend a hand with that or provide them with the data. So on the data side, I guess on the surface side, the easiest thing to understand in the industry right now is we perform construction staking, which includes staking right of way and silt fence, marking out where pipes and bridges and walls and all those things go. But getting into a little bit deeper of the technology side, a lot of contractors have invested in machine control applications and their own layout equipment. And that's great, but you also have to have some knowledge of surveying and engineering, and you also have to have the digital data that goes into that equipment. So we provide a lot of training and consultation on people that are utilizing that equipment. And then we also build the 3D surfaces and other data file formats that they will need to be able to self-perform with those technologies.
One thing I find so fascinating about the highway construction industry is, how technology based our industry is. And we actually kind of are a leader in technology, which I find so fascinating with all the different, whether it's software, drones, whatever equipment's being used, the technology is pretty up to date in our industry.
Yes, it's actually a little overwhelming at times with all the technology that has come out and
I'm sure
what's available out there.
Yeah, I'm sure. So you mentioned at the beginning, as president and owner, you kind of are like the jack of all trades, kind of have your hands in everything, which is a good thing. You get your boots dirty, you're in the office. But if you want to go ahead and tell people a little more specifically what exactly you do for Construction Engineering Solutions as president and owner.
I guess to caveat that just a little bit, I'm a jack of all trades, but that's one of the things we kind of pride ourselves in here at the company all of our employees have all of that adversity and that variation of knowledge to where they can be in the office doing takeoffs and data prep or calculating data for construction stakeout, but they can also go to the field and pick up the equipment and also train and advise operators and grade checkers and supervisors on how to best use that equipment. So I'm really just a reflection of what we are in totality here at CES versus just being the one and only person. Being the owner and the president, sure, I'm the face and the what a lot of people see, but behind the scenes, got a great team that fortunately keep me around, I guess is how I feel about it. So, but on a day-to-day basis, I'd say one of my most enjoyable things at CES, and really what CES started with, was two things, and that was consulting, because we started the company back in 2007. And I would travel around the United States teaching people how to utilize this new technology that was coming out. Of course, the technology had been out since the early 2000s, but it just takes a while for these things to grow legs sometimes. And when it did grow legs, it grew them fast. So I was fortunate enough to have a lot of friends around the industry that were starting to get into this, and they would call upon CES to come and train them. And it's just always been enjoyable for me to be involved in that teaching part of it to help advance companies and their employees' knowledge base. As far as actual services performed, the most enjoyable thing I do is build the 3D surface data. For those that don't understand what that means, it's a pretty simple explanation. Would be a reference to the auto industry and the fact that automobiles now come out with their own GPS navigation systems embedded into the vehicles. And somebody has to create those maps and that guidance tools that you use to type in an address and get to your destination. It's really no different in the construction industry, where these machines come built with built-in technology computers that will provide guidance to the operator. But each job they go to requires a new map updated to the plans and specifications designed for that project, so that they can see where the sidewalk goes, the building pad, the pipes, the walls, the parking lot, the striping, the utilities, all that from start to finish. So we create those specialized format maps by taking the data from the set of plans, which could be digital CAD and PDF drawings, and we apply the specifications of the project to the details of those plans, and then we can turn over that information to the operator, so he can navigate to where he needs to be on the site and add in that component of elevation, so that he knows where to cut and fill to put that project on grade.
That's amazing. That is one of the coolest things I think I've learned about the industry, is right there what you just explained.
The really cool part about it is where we do it from. You know, I live in a very rural, small community. We don't have much. I mean, yes, we 30, 45 minutes away from quote unquote the big cities. You know, it's been really great to explain to people what we do and then where we do it from. And it's because we utilize the technology that's available to us. The area that we are in, we have been on fiber internet for over a year now. So,
really?
You know, I've always had, I can't remember how long it was ago since we've had dial-up. And then, so our utilities in our area have always been on top of technology and pushing the envelope and providing our rural community with excellent services for internet and communication. So that allowed me to be able to do mobile trainings and communicate with contractors through video chat, and also the basics of email, quick email back and forth of large file sets to be able to pull this off. So, you know, we cover about 30 states and do some projects in Canada.
Oh, that's awesome.
We do them all from rural Leopold, Indiana.
That is so cool.
So it's really fun to be able to crank out over 100 of these projects a month.
Yeah.
All over the U.S. and Canada. and do it right here from a small community that I grew up in. So I didn't have to move to the big city to do something that is really great for not only our community but for the business, and is enjoyable for me.
Tell us how you got into the engineering technology side of construction and what keeps you there.
Well, the technology part is easy. I've always been an outdoor gadget guy. I
Hmm.
grew up on a farm in rural southern Indiana, and I was always tweaking with our radios, and on our heavy machinery and our trucks and things like that. So it's always been a natural draw for me. The technology side, as far as civil engineering and construction goes, was really, I just lucked into it. I fell into it. Coming out of high school, really didn't have a career plan or path at
Hmm.
all. There was, back in the early 90s, there was not very much information out there about construction, at least in the world that I was living in.
Yeah.
And there might have been, but I was 18, and I figured if I worked hard and kept at it, I'd find something. And
Hmm.
I did, luckily. But hopefully, what I'm trying to do now is help educate youth on the construction opportunities, and they won't have to fall into it like I did. But
Yeah.
anyway, I was 19 years old, didn't really have much going on as far as a career path. Had several jobs because, like I said, I worked and I did the best I could at those jobs. But I got a phone call from an acquaintance that I knew, and he offered me the third position on a survey construction staking crew at a large company in Louisville, Kentucky. And I took the job. Happenstance, he had an open apartment bedroom. So I moved up there and started going to work every day on a construction site. This site had already started. So in day one through probably two or three, it was very overwhelming. Pull me out of an area that doesn't have a stoplight or a four-way stop. And then here I am in the middle of the city doing this job that we had flyover bridges and traffic going every which way and trucks and you name it. It was pretty overwhelming. But after about a week, I settled in and realized this is it. This is where I want to be. This is what I want to do. And just been growing from that ever since.
I would love to ask, what made you join the team at Construction Engineering Solutions, but you're the president and owner. So if you want to highlight that a little bit.
Yeah. So, the evolution from my first days on a construction site, I came up through the ranks of a very diverse construction company that, we did anything from crush the rock to make the asphalt, to put down the asphalt, put down the concrete, build the bridges. So it was very versatile. I had a lot of opportunities to learn all about the industry. And as I was coming up through that with my career path, I enrolled in a surveying program at Vincennes University because I wanted to have a degree. The person that actually offered me a position, that's where he had went to school, so he had a lot of very good things to say. So it was a 2-year school, so I went there and I made it through that. And I was thinking, if I can make it through that, I could probably make it through a couple more years. And I wanted
Hmm.
to know more about civil and heavy highway. And
Hmm.
I've always been a nuts and bolts person, to where I want to understand the thread type, not just how to put the bolt and the nut together. So it
Yeah.
made sense for me to eventually move on to civil engineering and obtain a degree in civil engineering technology along with my surveying technology. And both has served me well in this construction industry. And it helps me understand how things are supposed to work from a technical standpoint. That
Hmm.
way, when things break down, it adds to the troubleshooting capabilities.
Hmm.
But with CES, as this technology came more and more popular, early 2000s, I just fell in love with it. And I really started immersing myself in understanding 3D surfaces and GPS technology. And there wasn't a lot of good manuals and things back then. So I started writing my own processes for our other employees to use so that they could use it to the level of effectiveness that I was using it. and just really found a lot of enjoyment of interaction with people and teaching them this stuff and seeing the reaction on their face, taking gentlemen that were close to retirement age saying they would never use this technology, they're just going to go ahead and retire, to them actually staying on and working 3 to 5 years past retirement because they said it helped them so much with their job. They felt less stressed at the end of the day, and now they enjoyed their work more. So at a young age, it was very impressionable on me to hear people say that and be able to extend their careers and enjoy their job more. I don't know. One day I was just sitting around thinking, what if I could do this all the time, all day? And so I came up with the idea of CES, with Construction Engineering Solutions, and kind of made the leap back in 2007, 2008. Ironically, was not really probably the time you should be doing that stuff. But, I had support of my family, had support of friends, and we've grown ever since. And it's been a great ride.
That's awesome. And I love that you're like the prime example of what, when I'm out and like talking to students about the industry, and I tell them, if college isn't the route you want to take right away when you graduate high school, that's totally fine. There's so many opportunities going the opposite way and getting right into the workforce right away. Because with highway construction, I tell them too, if it's not just a job, it's a career path, and you're the prime example of that. Is there anything else that you can think of aside from that that's another favorite part of your job with Construction Engineering Solutions?
It's fun being around our employees. I know everybody says that with companies, especially. You got to believe that, but it really is. I have, being in a small community, we have people here that I work with that, we see on the weekends, we see in the evenings. Our children play on the same teams together. And it's just really enjoyable to be able to be on this journey with them and be able to interact with them in a professional and a personal way. So that's a really enjoyable part. But, to kind of spread that out, we have other offices like in Indianapolis. And although I haven't gotten to know them as much as the people that I live around every day, it's still the same thing. It's the interaction with them. It's learning from them. Everybody has something that they can teach each other. It's just a really enjoyable part of the career. And then you extend that outside of the walls of CES into the construction industry. And we have so many interesting conversations that this technology can bring us together to where it helps solve their problems on the job site. And then that leads to deeper relationships with just talking to them about their lives outside of work. And so that's a lot of fun. As far as a daily thing that I go is I get a lot of phone calls, and I try to make a point to interact with people as much as possible, just with being humans and helping each other. Yeah, doing the work is really great. But that's probably my most enjoyable part of it, is being able to interact with other people and hear their stories and help them be better at what they do.
Yeah, I would say relationships, whether it's within your own company or people that you're working with, whether it's a client or a competitor, one of the number one things they talk about that they love about our industry is the relationship aspect that they have with everybody. And company culture is very important too. So I love that you have a very family-oriented company culture at Construction Engineering Solutions. That definitely helps with work-life balance with everybody. And I'm sure everyone that works for you appreciates that as well. What would you say is or has been the most rewarding part of your job? We discussed, your favorite parts of your job, but what has been most rewarding?
Well, that's an interesting question, because that has changed for me. When I first started, I would say the most rewarding was a little more selfish. I would say that you get to maybe manipulate your own schedule a little more by being the owner of the company, more so than setting your own schedule. But in the beginning, I wanted to be closer to home. Where I grew up, I was driving an hour plus to my job every day.
Mm.
And so that was, that was taking a couple of hours out of my day. And, then if something were to happen, it was just all on my wife. It was all on my kids to kind of fend for themselves. And
Mm-hmm.
I thought, well, maybe this would be a good way for me to be able to work closer to home, be more involved in the activities and the needs of our family, and still be able to make a living. But recently it's evolved beyond that to more of the proudest is our involvement in the community. We are a rural community. We don't have a whole lot of businesses right here local, and the ones that are do great, and they try to employ as many people as they can. They try to
Mm-hmm.
pay as high of wages and benefits as we can, and being able to be close enough to be involved with the local school system, with the local youth groups. That's just a big reward for myself, and that's evolved over time, so to speak. That now, CES started off as being a solution to an issue or problem that my family had, and then we became a solution for other families, and now we're becoming a solution for the community, and that's been very rewarding.
What would you say is the number one skill set that you must have to be able to be as successful as you are in your position?
Problem solving, without a question. You can go to school and learn how to do specific things. You can
Mm-hmm.
read a manual, take a couple of training classes on the equipment, but they're all very specific. Here's the problem, here's the solution. It's getting out there on a daily basis, being able to take all the input and make the best informed decision at that point to move people along, to keep projects moving, keep people moving in a positive manner. And without a doubt, I think that's the number one skill set. There's various forms of problem solving. It doesn't just come from me or leadership in a company. It comes from really listening and respecting the opinion of everyone involved that has input. You come together as a team with all the various inputs and experience and knowledge. You can put that together and put it to good use on a positive path to solve whatever problem is in front of you that moment or that day. We've built a really good core foundation here in Southern Indiana, but with the addition that we had about 2 years ago with our Indianapolis office and the, the individuals that stuck with us through that transition
Mm-hmm.
of acquiring another big business in our construction staking firm in the Indianapolis
Mm-hmm.
area, and them giving us a chance to prove to them and them prove to us. They're just that it's the same up there, just problem solving and
Mm-hmm.
being there for each other. Without doubt, those are the two things that help keep CES moving every day.
Thinking back to your younger self, is there any advice that you can think of that you would tell your younger self that would have possibly helped you in your adult life?
Yes, and I'm sure people had told me this when I was 19, but not sure I was had the open ears that I have now. But the biggest thing I try to tell any young person is present yourself with class and true thoughtfulness for the people around you.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what battles they're fighting, and you never know when your paths are going to cross again, and how that's going to take shape. From 19 to retirement age is a long time, and the world keeps getting smaller and smaller with the amount of technology and reach that you can have through communication with email and voicemail and chat and video and things like that. So I would just say that you never know who's watching, and you never know what path you're going to take. So if you carry yourself with class and treat others with respect, you'll be in good shape.
Now, I know hot topic in our industry, in my world with ICI and my position at ICI and with your position at CES, conversations, career paths, highway construction students, specifically high school students, and really trying to push the advocating and educating young people on all the different opportunities within our industry. And I know that's something that you do, which is great. And I know that you are a school board member at Perry Central High School in Southern Indiana. And then you also are an adjunct professor at Vincennes University. So I would love for you to touch on both of those, and just share with everybody how you do the advocating and educating on all the career opportunities in our industry, both at the high school and the collegiate level.
Yes, this is something that I've kind of do on the side, and it's a passion of mine because I love the construction industry and I want to see people be successful. And it's the easiest thing I know because it's the path that I was on. But at the same time, there's a lot of diversity in our industry. I mean, you need anything from accountants to lawyers to marketing and everything in between whenever you're dealing with construction companies. So there's a lot of different opportunities there, and it's an essential part of the world economy. So
Yep.
As we've all learned here lately. But at the high school level, I can't take a whole lot of credit for that. Been lucky enough to be elected a school board member here in the community and enjoy being out there at the school and seeing some of the programs that the kids are having now with internships and college credit classes and things to that nature. And one of the things that our school is heavily involved in is a thing called Commodore Manufacturing, where our students and we have a program that's partnered with 3 or 4 of the local manufacturing companies to where we actually build and sell back to them some products, inspection services that we can do here at the school. And that gives a person that is looking for a career opportunity a real in-depth look at the manufacturing industry beyond just the book and a tour at their facility. And it's a really great program, really proud of it. There again, I didn't have anything to do with it. That's our great staff and our teachers out there that put that up and keep that going. But me being the lover of construction that I am, I've been advocating for a construction program that's very similar to this. We have been slowly implementing another arm of our Commodore programs called Commodore Construction, and it's just the same thing. We're going to get internships. We're going to work closely with local contractors, whether it be building construction or residential or heavy highway, what have you, so that we can expose kids to the opportunities that are in construction and let them see at an early age, what possible career paths might be available in construction. And more importantly, that construction is not only an important part of the community and the world for that matter, it's cool. It's fun.
Yeah.
We have technology. We don't just occasionally might have to use a shovel or a hammer, but we have a lot of tools and robotics that help do that task now. And you get to be outdoors a lot of times.
Yeah, which is great.
So, unless you're in building construction, then you're indoors, but that's okay too. So just giving them opportunities to find that fit for them as soon as possible, or that exposure, so that they can be shaping their knowledge base and be able to pick a career that they are interested in. When it gets to the next level, it's secondary education. I'm happy to be a part of the Vincennes University program. What I do is I teach a couple of classes over there to seniors that challenge their thinking and inform them about construction technology and the type of data that is necessary for that technology to be successful. Even though they're in surveying and they've had surveying classes and many of them work for surveying firms, it's fun for me to be in a classroom with these kids and introduce them to something new. Especially now with kids that grow up on technology, it's a challenge to introduce them to something new.
I'm sure.
But with construction, it is completely new to them. And, you hear comments like, I never even knew that stuff existed, let alone in construction. So just giving, having the opportunity to to expose them to the technology that's available in the industry and how it can really help the industry become, better stewards of the earth and perform their services safer and more economically.
I love that. That's so great to know that you have independently gone out on your own to share what you do with others, and that's awesome that you teach, and especially like teaching them new things. Usually when you're a senior in college, you kind of feel like you've taken all the classes, learn everything you need to know about what you're getting a degree in, and then they have you to come in and teach them even new stuff about the industry that they haven't learned about yet. And I love that down south at Perry Central High School, with you being a school board member, that you've pushed and really advocated for our industry. Thank you so much, Glenn, for taking time out of your busy schedule to share with everyone your career journey, how you got to where you are, how Construction Engineering Solutions was born, and what you do for the youth.
Well, thank you. And I just want to take this opportunity to thank ICI for all their leadership and support in the industry, and to thank, all of everybody that's been along for the journey in my career, which is of no small part the employees and the clients that we deal with here at Construction Engineering Solutions.